welcome to Legal Affairs. My name is Diamond Litty, and I'm the public defender of the 19th Judicial Circuit. We are going to be talking about, oh my gosh, one of the coolest, greatest programs that we have in our community, and that I'm so proud to have been actually physically a part and did the tour and the whole thing the other day. And although I'd heard about the program before, I'd never been there, and what a great thing all of you are doing. And so everybody wants to know, what are we going to be talking about today? We're going to be talking about the Daniel M. Foundation, and with us we have the treasurer of the foundation, Greg Melton. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning.
And Frank Krukauskas.
Perfect.
Okay, okay. And Frank, you are kind of, I guess, well, your very official name would be a behavior analyst, but you, bottom line, help run that program, correct?
That's right.
Okay. Why don't we start, because many people, many of our viewers probably have never heard of the Daniel M. Foundation. What is it, where is it, and what does it do? Let's just kind of give the basics first, and then we'll go into the details. So, Greg, tell us about that.
Well, it was founded in '97, and we first started providing services in '99.
And is it just St. Lucie County or the Treasure Coast, or
Includes
what?
the Treasure Coast.
Okay.
And we were founded, and our mission statement is to enhance the quality of life for children and families struggling with emotional and behavioral health needs.
Okay.
It was founded due to, it's named the Daniel M. Foundation, named for my stepson, Daniel. And he struggled and still struggles with emotional behavioral issues, bipolar. And through what we've learned, and Linda primarily, through what learned how to help him through school and help him deal with juvenile justice and the Justice Society, everything else, she found that parents had a need, and we never had that need satisfied. And that was to provide, we started to provide respite so that the parents could get a break. It's easy to see a child who has a physical disability or who's mentally incapacitated, or that just, you can see that that person has a problem.
Right.
And those children need help a lot. These children have difficulty controlling their behaviors because of chemical imbalances,
right,
and because of just where they came from, what happened in their life. But the majority of it is chemical imbalance.
Well, let's back up a minute. So you are the stepdaddy of Daniel M. And how old is your stepson now?
Well, he would be, this year he's going to be 36.
36, okay.
38.
Okay.
Yeah.
But many of our viewers, I'm sure, have not, fortunately, had to deal with children with emotional problems or mental illness or any of the bipolar. And it runs the gamut. It's not necessarily children with mental illness. It's with children with emotional difficulties.
Correct.
I'm sure ADD, does that come in there? And all of that? Okay. So in other words, Greg, you had a stepson, who had these issues, and there was no place to turn. There was no place to get help for your child, respite for, I guess, you and your wife.
Right.
Because obviously this is like a physical disability. It's taxing emotionally, physically, financially, and you needed some help, and thus the foundation and the center was born. Is that kind of
correct?
Okay.
Yes.
Where the physical location of your center? Let's talk about that for a minute, Frank. You're going to be on the hot seat in a minute. The physical location of this center, where is it, Greg?
827 Sunrise.
Okay.
Sunrise and 6th Street.
Okay, and it's not just a physical place where children can go to get help, or parents can go to get rest, or, well, parents can send their children for respite for themselves. What what all do you do in this center? Because I was amazed once I actually physically went there that how big it was and all the things that you offered. So kind of give us an overview on that.
Well, we located in St. Lucie County so that we could be centrally located for the 4 counties.
Right. But you'll take children from any of the
Yes.
Martin, Vero Beach, St. Lucie, and Okeechobee then?
Correct.
Okay.
And it worked better right there.
Okay.
And so what we do is we provide respite for the parents,
Okay.
which is also respite for the children.
Okay. But when you say respite for the parents, that means the children can go there while the parents do things, or the parents go there.
The children had come.
Okay.
The parents drop them off. They're
Okay.
with highly qualified staff.
Okay.
So the parents can walk away from that building and not worry about that child.
Okay.
They're not going to worry about them getting kicked out, abused, emotionally abused, or just not being happy.
Right.
Obviously, it takes time for them to adjust, but the children can go there, and we work with them, and Frank will talk about how he does that. And at the same time, the parents can just relax, maybe go get their shopping done.
Right.
You've seen a parent with a child that's just off
Out
the
of control,
charts,
let's
out of
say.
control,
Right.
trying to shop. And you can't even shop because the child, you have to leave the store.
Right. Right.
Sometimes it's that simple. Sometimes it's just a matter so that the parents can take the other sibling and go do something with that child alone.
Right.
Because these children are, unless they're asleep, they're on. And when they're on, they want attention.
Right.
And you can't get that. So that's the respite part.
And what age groups are we talking about now?
5 through 12.
Okay. Okay.
So we do take some younger, but 5 through 12 is our main focus area.
And what about money-wise? How did
There's a
parents
sliding
pay?
scale program.
Okay.
We are funded by Children's Services Council of St. Lucie County.
Right.
They've been funding us for quite some time. And the
United for Families.
United for Families, and then the new entity is called
The
Southeast Behavioral Network.
Florida Behavioral Network.
Okay, that gives you funding.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, of course, private donations and
Correct.
things like that. Okay. Frank, what do you do with these children that are, out of control, that have all these needs?
The thing is, there's three different programs. Basically, Greg was talking about our respite, which is what started it all, on a Saturday program, full days, every other Saturday. There's an after-school program called Catch, and then we're also a private school. But in general, what we do, it's what we do and what we don't do. When children are dropped off at our program, they're there for the day. Any behavioral issues that arise, our staff is trained in how to handle different crises and how to redirect behaviors. So we're not calling home. We're not sending kids home.
Right.
They're there the entire day. So that's kind of what we do different, I think.
It's not like you call and say, okay, we can't, we got a problem here, you got to come pick them up.
Yeah.
You're there to deal with that.
You're there the whole time when you get dropped off, unless you're sick.
Right.
I mean, if you're sick, you'll go home. You run out of temperature, that's the only way they're going to get home, not for behavioral. And as a behavior analyst, what that allows us to do is change the behavior in the environment that it's occurring. And that's what's different, very different about us, sending kids home sometimes. And then jumping from the 3 programs, but in the school, kids act out. They might not want to be in school anyway. They get suspended, they go home. Kind of perpetuates the problem. Then they're home, they got to escape school, so they learn to act out more, and so forth. That's kind of the way that it goes with that. So we do a lot of things different with the training that the staff receive. And also, just going to add in there too, the parent supports as we train our parents, if they're interested in offering them all the supports and the trainings that my staff receive.
Right.
So they can be trained just like a staff member.
Wow.
So that way it can generalize into the home environment.
Is this 7 days a week?
We are open 5 days a week for the school and the after school. Every day that school's open, we're open.
Right.
When school's closed over spring break, we're open. Over Christmas break or the holiday break in the winter, we're open for one of those 2 weeks.
Okay. But not on the weekends then?
On the weekends, we're open every other Saturday. And on our website, it has a calendar which Saturdays we're open for the respite.
Okay.
And that's the full-day program that Greg was talking about there.
Okay, and hours of operation then, what, 8 to 5?
On Saturdays, 8:30 to 5:30.
What about during the week?
During the week, we're opened as a school, and there's some changes there that I'll talk about in a minute too, but we're open. Basically, school this year started at 8:15 to 3 o'clock.
Okay.
And that was with a partnership with the school district, which I'm sad to say that with the cuts in funding, that partnership, which has been great, is going to end this year. But we are going totally private under McKay, which
Right.
I can go into that, but children with
Don't, 'cause it's
disabilities
so
can get,
complicated.
the same kids we're going to have next year. They're applying for McKay scholarships, and they will get that, and they'll get the same education without the partnership.
So the school district, St. Lucie County school system, really partners with you, period. I mean, you
we've been a partner
collaborate
for the 13 years the doors have been open in some ways.
Okay.
The only part that's changed is the private school. We did contract with them for St. Lucie County kids also. So that's changed a little, but...
Right. But you are who the school district goes to at times when they have these difficulties.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Frank.
I should let you talk.
No, go ahead. No, see how easy this is?
It's much easier than I thought it would be. The after-school program, actually, the school district does actually send some kids to us.
Oh, okay.
If their transportation, then their IEP shows that they are going, there's curb-to-curb pickup. If that's in their IEP, they've transported the children to us for our after-school program.
Right, okay.
So that's been a partnership that's always been there. The referrals, working as a group in the community, a collaborative effort, they refer kids. They have our packets, our pamphlets they can hand out and tell them what we do here. Because quite often, even a kid who's struggling in school, just by the tutoring and the after-school program, they've seen behavior change in the school, where maybe a kid who would have gotten moved to a more restrictive placement in the school system, even by experiencing the after-school program and those supports, they've managed to improve the behavior at school.
Oh, wow. So this isn't, do you have actual children, Frank, that are there every single day for a time period? I mean, you can't, this isn't a scenario where a child gets suspended or kicked, whatever, and they go there for their 6th grade year, is it, or is it?
No, there's kids who, up for the past 4 years or 3 years, we've been contracting with the district.
Okay.
So they did place kids with us, so that needed our services.
Okay.
That's the part that's changing this year.
Okay.
Other kids, and what we've done, if parents are receiving services and children are receiving services with our program, and those children are suspended, but they're already in our program.
Right.
I'm not going to say names, but right now we have 2 kids that didn't make it through the end of the school year. They're on a suspension. We allow them to come and participate in our program through the school day.
Oh, I got you.
But
okay.
majority of our kids should be in the school that they're assigned, so we really don't have that many kids that are coming on suspension right now.
Okay.
We are applying for another grant that we don't have the answer yet, but which would be a full suspension program, is something we're looking into for next year.
Oh, wow, which I'm sure is needed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Now, so are there actually, obviously you have trained staff to deal with these behaviors, but is there actually a teaching component? I mean, are they going to sit, is there times during the day that they sit at a desk or whatever and are taught curriculum, or no?
Yes, the entire school day is structured. It's Positive Expectations Academy.
Okay.
It is a regular school day. You get dropped off in the morning. You start out with breakfast that's provided. We go into a social skills lesson. That's something that's missing at some other places. We pick one skill for the week that they're going to focus on. Just say how to accept no as an answer might be the skill for the week. And we'll work on that for about a half an hour in the morning. And then they'll go right into their reading, science, math, all the subject areas. We follow very close to the scope and sequence which the district uses.
Right.
Because when kids transition back, it's important for them to be at a similar area in the school year. The kid went back halfway through.
Oh, I understand, yeah.
But we also individualize a lot. A lot of our kids, along with having the emotional or behavioral difficulties, disabilities, whatever we want to label that, their academics suffer also. So some kids may not, a 5th grader may not be reading at a 5th grade level.
Right.
So we individualize that for each student.
Okay, so I got 2 really burning questions. Number 1, how many children do you average at a time?
Currently, there's 18 kids enrolled in the school.
Okay, now stop you there. How, if you help children from age 5 through
12.
5 through 12, how do you have curriculum? So those 18 kids are not all in 6th grade or 8th grade, so how do you do that?
What we do, there's a lot of assessments that we give, and then we group children. They work in small groups.
Okay.
We have between a 1 to 3 ratio during one adult every 3 kids during the school year this year.
Okay.
Next year will probably be more like a 1 to 5 ratio, as opposed to 1 to 18 with class size reduction, and even more than that in a classroom at sometimes. So we can provide that individualized instruction, and we divide that into groups that are based upon where they are academically.
Okay.
That's the only way to do it, because there's levels through the whole gamut.
that was, how do you, oh my gosh, Now, what about medication and things like that? Do you have somebody on staff that that can either prescribe or recommend, or how does that work?
We don't do any recommending or prescriptions.
Right, okay.
That's the physician that would do that.
Okay. Well, what about if a child, you guys are the experts, a child comes to you and they're not on any medication. Let's say they are bipolar. They need some kind of medication. What do you do about that? Do you talk to the parents and say they need to see a doctor? I mean, how does that work?
Sometimes I almost see the opposite of that. We do have some kids that come in with medication.
Right.
That maybe, and some of the doctors work real close with us. They'll actually ask for their behavioral data. They'll ask, and there's some great physicians that are doing that, and actually request how have they been doing. And then the doctors can sometimes look at that and see whether, when they've adjusted a med, we've had a spike in behavior or not. Because we graph all their behaviors out, so they can look at it that way.
Right.
We're trying to be real careful in whether we're recommending medications or anything like that. But there are children who we've dealt with that we may suggest to the parent that it might be good to follow up with your physician with this, that we're noticing this.
Okay.
But I just want to, the answer for us is more of changing the environment more than medicating the child. But there are children who do need medication.
Right, right. Well, no, it's this, let's face it, this whole area, certainly for adults, is very complex and, fragmented and, all over the place. There's so many components, that's the word I'm looking for, with adults with mental illness and behavioral issues. But oh my gosh, talk about exacerbating the problems and the issues and all the things you have to deal with a child. I can't even imagine. But I like I say, I was there. Oh my gosh, what a great job. Well, how many on your staff and
counting real quick. There's about seven staff members, I believe, right now.
Okay, that run the whole. And I noticed there's a playground and all of that in the back too, so they have that kind of recreational.
Yeah, there's a basketball court.
Right.
Another area we play soccer in. There's swings and stuff like that. A couple other things that that couldn't be here today, but Linda's planning. We're going to be building a garden that the kids will be working in.
Oh, cool.
Growing around vegetables and stuff like that, and some other things outside that they can do.
Wow. And is your goal, this may be a silly question, but there are no silly questions on our show. No. Is your goal to fix them, to help them, what's the word I'm looking for?
I think the ultimate goal is that they learn the behaviors that they need so they can be successful in the community and other schools.
Right.
But we do run across, I've been doing this not just with the Daniel M. Center, but for about 17 years. And there's some kids that may need those supports. And this is where they do well. And they choose to stay there, and that's fine. They need the supports. There's some kids that, there's not many places you can go and have a 1 to 3, 1 to 5 ratio
Are you
with
kidding
adults.
Me?
And they're comfortable where they are. And so sometimes it looks like, hey, they've done really good, let's move them on. And they want to go back. Some kids do want to go back, and some kids just feel real comfortable and want to stay. We don't want to force kids out of the program either. There's
Right.
age restrictions that, you know,
Right.
eventually you do get too old for the program.
Right.
And we've thought about it, but I don't know how old we want to go.
And you
know,
are
there's a
saying,
point.
when you said 5 through 12, we're talking about 5 years old through 12 years,
12 years
old.
old.
We're not 5th grade through 12th
Yeah,
grade.
the school
Right.
is K through, and we're going to be going to 6 next year.
Oh,
K
wow.
to 6 for the
Okay.
school. And then we wonder at 6, do we want to go to 7th? Do we want to go? And we're
Yeah.
right now K to 6 is what
Yeah,
we're doing for the
boy.
school.
Right. Unfortunately, they get released right into middle school, but we
yeah,
have to.
that's a tough.
You know, when the program was started, it was decided that we needed to help these children as early as possible, because if you work with those and establish habits and behaviors earlier in their life, they can carry those through. And we saw that happen with Daniel.
And is Daniel M., your stepson, is he functional? Is
Oh,
he,
yes.
So he has a job. He's
Oh, yeah.
doing.
He's very talented.
Okay. No, and
extremely-
I just.
Extremely proficient at what he does. He struggles with issues, of
Right.
course, but
But don't we all? Right.
absolutely. But what we did work with him was based on thousands of dollars of consultation that we sought, tens of thousands probably.
Yeah.
And all of that has evolved and changed, but the behavioral part of it was similar, and that helped. And what we've decided when this program was open, that we wanted to start young with the children and work with the parents,
Right.
so that they felt successful in something in their life, because these children always hear, you're a bad kid, get out of here, you're kicked out.
Right.
Imagine a 4 or 5-year-old who's been kicked from 4 different pre-Ks.
Yeah.
And now where's their self-esteem? And they feel worthless. So we've got to establish that feeling of worth within them, so that they will move forward and develop.
So I get it now. The reason you started with this age group is because you really do have a chance to make a difference.
Right.
Because the younger you help them, and the more you give respite care to a parent that just can't take it anymore, and all of that, the better chance for success. So,
Right.
correct?
Most
Right.
definitely.
Okay.
But just imagine,
I can't imagine.
just imagine not being able to relax or be off unless the child's asleep. I mean,
Yeah.
these children are more demanding than any other form of disability out there.
Well, it's tough enough, my gosh, with a child that
Yeah.
doesn't have any
Yeah.
of these issues. I mean, let's face it. I
And
mean, I
imagine
don't care.
trying to get through homework.
No, I
You
can't.
know, so
I can't.
our after-school program, one of our biggest focuses is to help them get the homework finished, so when they go home, they can have some semblance of a family life, as opposed to get your homework done, get your homework done, get
Right.
down, get to bed.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And it doesn't make the parents bad that that's what they want. They
No.
just need a
Need a
break.
break.
right.
Go ahead, Frank.
As I say, a lot of our kids, too, there's other programs that are in the community that are really good, but our kids aren't real successful in them.
I was
And I'm
going
not going to get plugs for other, I want to say other names, but there's other after-school programs, and kids do really good. A lot of our kids have been asked to leave those programs because of their behavioral issues.
So which is a question I wanted to ask. You guys are kind of really the only game in town for what you are doing, aren't you? I mean, and I'm not asking you to bash other.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
my
'cause
gosh.
I don't mean it that way.
No, I
Yeah.
know that. But
They're just not equipped.
right. So, wow. Yeah, and that's what I mean. We got to get more funding. We got to get more help, because there's more than 18 children with those issues, I guarantee. But go ahead, Frank.
The other thing that I'm really proud of with the staff and the way that we've been organized there, we've had the private school for this is our 4th year. We've had the respite program for a long time. And since I've been there for these 5 years, we have not had, we've had one Baker Act that's
Really?
occurred on campus.
And a Baker Act.
Baker Act for a child who was questionably whether they were mentally stable at the time. And that was at the request of the parent, because there was a medication issue.
Right.
And they wanted us to call and see. And we did that, and that child got help and had to be hospitalized. But arrests on campus, 0. Baker Acts, 1 in 4+ years. And I know that continued before that.
Right.
Just the reduction in that by having those services, some kids don't go into a full crisis, because
Right.
we're able to
Right.
redirect some of that stuff before it gets to that level.
Well, and for the people who don't understand, the Baker Act is a legal tool or intervention when a child or an adult is a danger to themselves or others, and you have to take them away and put them in a, that kind of thing. So what you're saying is that you haven't had to do that except for one time in all these, and that's incredible.
Yeah,
that's
the level
incredible.
of supports that are there.
Right.
It'll not eliminates, but it obviously greatly reduces the need for that.
Sure.
Which also is a big savings for a lot of people who are paying for those. Baker Acts, I don't think, are very
I don't
cheap when
think
they
we've
happen.
had maybe one or two since we've ever opened, even
Since
in the after.
'97.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's just,
So,
You're not going to believe this, but we're almost out of time.
okay.
And we got just 2 minutes. What if someone is watching and they have a child that fits the criteria, the age, the what's going on, and they may not know about you? Do they go? Certainly they can come to you or call you all. I mean, do they have to go through the school district? I mean, how does this work?
They can call us directly.
Okay.
Oh, no. Is our phone number on there or no? Because if it's not,
why don't you tell us?
If they call 466 0051. I'm giving them the fax number. 466-0051. And just ask to speak to Frank. That's myself or any of the other staff might be able to help.
Okay,
sometimes
and answer
we're busy.
some questions.
Yeah, we can answer some questions, but sometimes we're in the middle of something in the moment. We might have to call them back. Or they can visit the website at dmcbc.org.
Okay, Daniel M.
And Daniel M. Center for Behavioral Change.
Okay, or Google it. Okay, or call me, and I'll give them your number.
Yeah.
And then you can then I guess if they are in school, they have to talk to the guidance or the school, the school, and get an okay to go to the center.
The other thing is also if they have
No, they don't have to get permission
They
from the
don't?
school.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, as I say, if a child has an IEP,
What's an IEP?
an individualized education plan, they can actually at the IEP meeting they would be getting information at the end of that about a McKay scholarship.
Okay.
If parents needed help, even if they weren't coming to us and just needed help on kind of figuring how to do McKay.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that's a scholarship that can pay full tuition, and it can be used at any private school that accepts McKay. But if they needed even help going that, there's several parents that have called me that really aren't appropriate for our program, but they don't know how to do the McKay, and I can tell them how to log on to it. It's simple after you've done it a lot, then they can at least have that option for a private scholarship.
Okay, so they can have the funding if they don't have the means to get their child some help.
I'd like to just mention two things.
And you got about 10 seconds.
The one is that we are really focusing on the private school for this coming year to help these children out and helping the parents. So we do train the parents and the caregivers. And we're also always looking for people who want to donate because it is such a worthy cause. It's the only thing like it in the state.
Great.
And we are best practices.
Okay. And thank you both very much. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.